The last coherent image Leo Harrison held was the sight of the approaching headlights on Sunset Avenue. One moment, he was stepping out of the warm, yeasty sweet air of the Krispy Kreme, a glazed donut in one hand, the morning sun just beginning to warm his bald head. The next, the screech of tires and the blinding glare of a vehicle careening towards him filled his senses. There was a deafening impact, a searing pain that tore through his vision and his right leg simultaneously, and then darkness. This was 10 years ago. He didn't remember falling. He just knew the world had gone black, and an agonizing fire consumed his lower right side. The donut was gone. The scent of sugar and frying oil was replaced by the metallic tang of blood and the acrid smell of burnt rubber. He lay on the unforgiving asphalt, a primal scream trapped in his throat, his right leg a mangled mess. The first few weeks were a blur of pain and disorientation in the local hospital. He was trapped in a world of muffled sounds and antiseptic smells. His right leg was gone below the knee, and the doctors confirmed the worst: the impact had severed his optic nerves. He would never see again the familiar world, the faces of his friends, the simple act of walking, all lost in a single, horrific moment. His recovery was slow and arduous. Depression threatened to engulf him in the endless night. But the bonds forged in his time in service, though seemingly tested by his new reality, were not entirely broken. Andre and Anya, two of his old squadmates from his time in the 82nd Airborne, were frequent visitors to his hospital room. They sat by his bedside, their voices anchors in his soundscape. Andre, always the quiet engineer, peppered him with technical details of potential prosthetics. Anya, ever the pragmatic medic, focused on his physical therapy and mental well-being. "We got you, Leo," Anya would say, her voice firm but gentle. "You're not alone in this." Andre, true to his word, threw himself into a project back in his workshop. Using his skills and tapping into his network of contacts, some old military buddies, some with connections to cutting-edge tech even then, he started working on something special for Leo. Weeks turned into months. Leo endured grueling physical therapy, learning to navigate the world without sight, his remaining senses sharpening out of necessity. Then, one day, Andre and Anya arrived at his house with two extraordinary gifts. The first was a sleek, lightweight walking staff. It wasn't just any cane, it was a marvel of subtle technology for that time. Embedded in the tip were miniature sonar emitters and haptic feedback sensors. As Leo swept the staff across his familiar living room, it sent out silent pulses, and the subtle vibrations in the handle painted a detailed picture of his surroundings in his hand. It wouldn't replace his sight, but it would give him an unprecedented level of spatial awareness in his own home and beyond. The second was a prosthetic leg. It wasn't the standard-issue clunky limb available 10 years ago. Andre, with Anya's input on biomechanics, had designed a custom prosthetic using advanced lightweight alloys and responsive polymers that were just becoming mainstream. It moved with a fluid, almost natural motion, thanks to embedded microprocessors that learned and adapted to Leo's gait as he walked around his familiar home. It was a far cry from his own leg, but it allowed him to walk with confidence and stable. Leo's eyes snapped open. He wasn't in his familiar bedroom. He was lying on a cold, concrete floor, the air thick with the smell of motor oil and dust. The harsh fluorescent hum of a single flickering light bulb buzzed overhead. Beside him, a rhythmic, surprisingly loud snore filled the otherwise silent garage. He shifted, his advanced prosthetic leg, the one Andre had crafted a decade ago, feeling strangely familiar yet out of place in this grimy setting. The tactile staff lay near his outstretched hand. He ran a hand over his short beard. The silence outside was heavy, broken only by the occasional drip of water and the distant, unsettling sounds of a city in decay. He reached out, his fingers brushing against something soft and yielding. "Crystal?" he murmured, recognizing the distinct cadence of her breathing. A louder snort answered him from his left. To his right, a low rumble vibrated the floor. "Goldie?" he added, recognizing the deep purr of his massive male lion. A wet, sandpaper-like tongue licked his cheek in response. Goldie shifted his immense weight slightly. Crystal, his voluptuous black companion, snored on, oblivious to his awakening in their new home, a repurposed garage. The familiar scents were gone, replaced by the metallic tang of decay and the underlying smell of struggle. 10 years had passed since the accident. He was blind, still, but the life he remembered had been violently upended. This dusty garage, with Crystal snoring beside him and Goldie as their silent guardian, was their sanctuary, their base as they tried to rebuild something amidst the ruins of their world. The apocalypse had come, and Leo Harrison had woken up in the heart of their fragile new beginning.